Reservoir Dogs came out in 1992 and is written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, the film that pretty much put him on the map right before Pulp Fiction. I think Pulp Fiction is way more popular than Reservoir Dogs, but anyways, we're talking about Reservoir Dogs, and I know I said I would be talking about Magic Mike, but I just recently rewatched Reservoir Dogs and decided, you know what, right before I do that, I'm going to be talking about Reservoir Dogs, so I know I said we'll be talking about Magic Mike, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not very good at planning things out. Sorry. And there's also one more thing I wanted to address, but I'll save that for the end of the video. And also some other Blu-rays I picked up. So, Reservoir Dogs. I saw this movie some time ago, a few weeks ago, and at that point I gave it a 7. And I think after rewatching it, I think it's time that I actually talk about it. So, Reservoir Dogs. What is this movie about? Ultimately, this movie is about a heist gone wrong and these guys trying to figure out who ratted them out, who is the rat in the group, and they're just trying to figure that out, kind of. Well, that's half of the movie. The other half is kind of just flashbacks. It's a movie that's told out of order, but it develops characters that are the main characters in the movie. You do get a sense of who each character is and how well, depending on how much, like you just for the characters that aren't really developed at all, really, like Mr. Blue and Mr. Brown, they don't really get developed at all. And the characters that are developed are pretty much everyone else in the main group of guys. Mr. Pink, Mr. Orange, Mr. White, and Mr. Brown. Sorry, Mr. Blonde, sorry. I'm getting colors confused. I have no idea why. So those are the main characters. And they're just all trying to figure out what went wrong, and it's pretty great. It's a lot of fun. Where this movie shines the most for me is the first 20 minutes and the last 10-15 minutes. And 10 minutes in the middle. That's where it shines the most for me. And not that the rest of the movie is bad, but I don't think it's quite on that level. And the beginning of the movie is the best part of the movie by far for me, because you see all these guys interact with each other and you get a sense of what their personalities are like, and it's really fun dialogue. That's what Quentin Tarantino is known for. One can argue that he kind of writes characters the same. When someone would describe Tarantino-esque, if a character is like, it's just a character written by Tarantino. I'm saying his name so many times to the point where it's getting overused, but I'll try to keep this minimal. I keep saying his name minimal, sorry. If someone hears Tarantino, they know exactly pretty much what they're getting into. Like what kind of tone he likes. He likes a lot of violence, and he does structure his movies a lot of the same way, but it's never boring, and it's always entertaining. What makes his other movies entertaining, that's also in Reservoir Dogs. Without getting into spoilers, there's a really great cut in the movie that I just find so funny, where it's a flashback, but it's really funny to me, and I can't show it here because I don't want to spoil the movie, but it happens early on, and that got the biggest laugh from me. I laughed out loud. The acting's great from everyone, and I don't think there's a single weak performance. I always buy all these characters. They're all distinguishable from each other. And my favorite character in the whole movie would be Mr. Pink. If you haven't seen the movie, then I won't say why. If we're going to talk about issues with this movie, I will say... okay, to say issues, I have to talk about his other movies, and what Tarantino likes to do, especially with his more recent films, I guess, in the films that he's released in the past 10 years. I haven't seen Django Unchained or Death Proof, but I have seen pretty much everything else. What he likes to do is he likes to stop the story and focus his attention on the characters talking about a little subject that is used for comedy, and sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, it worked for me in Reservoir Dogs. In Pulp Fiction, it was basically pretty much the opening scene that, whenever I watch Pulp Fiction, it's the opening scene I don't really care for. It doesn't do anything for me. But the rest of the movie's awesome. Kill Bill, I never had a problem with that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, never had a problem with that. Hateful Eight, same thing. And the movies where it affected me kind of would be Jackie Brown, Just One Conversation, when they were talking about, like, I don't even remember what they were talking about, like tapes and CDs or something. The worst example of this for me, where it's just constantly stopping the plot to talk about something funny, or the characters themselves aren't interesting at all. I think the worst example of that would be Inglourious Bastards. That movie for me is the most boring. It's just, there's not much there. I've said this, I'm pretty sure I said this before, that Inglourious Bastards is my least favorite Tarantino film so far that I've seen.
On a side note, I did get a chance to rewatch Inglorious Bastards. It was pretty good. I would give it probably a 7 out of 10. I liked the second half more than I liked the first half, but it was a very good movie, and I enjoyed it much more this time. And I also saw Django Unchained. I gave that movie the same rating. It was pretty good. Both two of my least favorite Tarantino movies, and I still haven't seen Death Proof. So, I guess I'll be talking about more Tarantino movies in the future. But until I do that, this is where we're at right now. Anyways, back to the review.
They did feel as if how should I say, the plot kind of stopped, like, somewhere in, like, the 45 minute mark, somewhere around there. It did feel as if he pushed the brakes on the plot at some point, and that kind of bothered me, and that's my only real issue with the movie. But aside from that, the rest of it's great and a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, check it out. It's a lot, like I said, it's a lot of fun, and you will not be disappointed if you are a fan of Quentin Tarantino. And I'm going to give Reservoir Dogs an 8 out of 10. Now, before I end this video, I'm just going to show you some of the Blu-rays that I got recently. And this will be really quick. This will just be future ideas or videos I may or may not make. Even though I established earlier that I make no promises when I'm not good at planning things. Sorry. So let's just show you these quickly. This will only take a minute. So, Airplane at the Steelbook. Probably won't review this because it's a classic movie. Everyone said everything there is to say about it. I really like it. I got First Blood. This was pretty cheap, so I decided to pick it up. Might review it one day. If Beale Street Could Talk. For the longest time I thought it was If Beetle Street Could Talk. I've never felt more stupid in my entire life up until this moment. Up until that moment. I'm kidding. Anyways, that was a good movie. And lastly, High Life. Robert Pattinson's great. This is like the main reason I got this is because Robert Pattinson was in it, and I haven't seen it. And it was on my watch list for a while. And it was pretty good. So, there's everything. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Reservoir Dogs down below. My social media links will be in the description down below, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation. And I'll see you when I get my next review up. And thank you for watching, and have a great day.